Okay, here we go. Let's get this party started. Hopefully we have a good turnout. And don't forget, let me take my meds. And we got some stuff that we need to knock out this evening that I did a little bit of this morning off camera. I'm gonna take these guys to the next step. And we'll put some of these colors away because they're in the kind of in the way right now. Okay, here's the basis that we've had all the figures done for. We have one Hun base completed, but we finished the other four, so we should be done with 5 Hun stands here shortly. And one of my favorite things coming up, I really dislike cleaning the flash off figures, but I really like what I'm about to do next. And that is figure out who's gonna go with who on a date on what stand. Now these figures did get sealed last night. At the end of my evening I did spray them down, and I actually had something happen that had never happened before. And it was probably because I was really tired. But usually what I end up doing is spray things in units or what have you. And in the case of these, I had all the Gladiator guys ahead of time. And I had, with the exception of this one, and these guys were already sealed along with these two. I sprayed these two along with these when I did it earlier. And I had forgotten I had done that. I was so worried about making sure that certain guys went with next to somebody else on the stand, because these guys are all Gladiator and these guys are all Forged in Battle. I was so worried about that I had forgotten that I had sealed these guys, and I resprayed them again. So these 3 figures here are double sprayed. So so they have a gloss coat, brush on flat, and then a gloss coat on them again and a brush on flat. So I didn't realize it until after I had sprayed gloss coat on them. So no big deal. I don't think there was any lasting effects to it, but I was a little hesitant to put any extra thick painting on the flat coat when I realized that. But anyhow, I think I've placed these next to each other who they're going to be with who. I think they have. Horse-wise, you've got a medium, kind of a dark, a medium, a light, a dark, and a light. So that all works. These two both have cloaks that are kind of the same color, but if I move him over here, does that get any better? The cloaks kind of do. I'm going to go back to how it was because this guy's more colorful than him, and I want a guy that's kind of drab riding next to the guy with a reddish type shirt. So that's how they're going to ride. So let's pop these guys off and get Mr. Epoxy out here and epoxy them down, because we're going to need a little bit of time for the epoxy to set, and then we'll goop the stands, and of course the stands that's all we can do. So if you notice, the description of my video is Huns plus World War II show and tell. So I'm going to need some time between the time that the epoxy dries on them and I'm able to goop. Not a huge amount of time, so I did grab some of my 20s that I wanted to look at, and we look at them together. Nordic, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm doing okay. So another trying day. I can't wait till this time tomorrow. But that's what we're going to plan on doing. And yeah, let's get to it. So let me get a piece of cardboard and I'm going to mix the epoxy. Mr. Wayne, welcome. Wayne, I wish your color wasn't the same color as Nordic. You guys are fighting over brown. I don't know if you can see that on your display, but one's an N and one's a W. I don't know why sometimes people have an image. Maybe you got to upload it to YouTube or something like that. You don't pick an image, it automatically gives you a random color, or maybe anybody N is brown, anybody W is brown. The ragweed is moderately high. After I came back 5 mile walk, your head was killing me. I hate sinus allergy headaches. Not good. No bueno. Ragweed sounds like something a homeless person would smoke. Hey, you got any ragweed, man? All right, let's get World War II and show your tail. I'm wearing sweatpants. I don't know where you're going with that. Yeah, we're going to get into World War II. We're going to look at some World War II stuff. In the one true scale, 20 mil. So I did get a response from, a couple things happened. I did get a response from Gladiator Games, and they said they're going to upload some pictures of that, so we'll see. I'm pretty certain that after this convention coming up, which is only in a month, I'm going to do the M word, the evil M word, multitask. Now, I just want to paint something a little bit different. I want to paint something that's based on individual stands. So if I feel like painting 2 figures, I can paint 2 figures and I can go back to something else, you know? So it's either going to be Victorian stuff that I don't have any of, or my World War II stuff. The problem with the World War II stuff is, in order to play it, I'm going to have to relearn a bunch of shit, and it's, I don't know. I just kind of, at this point, just want to do it just to paint some of them up. And I don't have to buy any. I got plenty of them. And it's a good thing because these aren't, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you isn't available anymore. It's only been 20 years, and 20 years doesn't seem like a long time to me. I already screwed up. I should have popped these guys off first. Oh, well, I may have to remix this. Zippity-doo-dah. Let's get these out of the way so that we don't have an accident. Okay, so this fellow, so I just stick it underneath there and wiggle it. And done. Actually, when I glued these guys, I kind of made it a point to only use like a single drop or a small amount of super glue. I don't like using anything softer than super glue because you just can't count on it to stay awake. All right, so this stand here has the Forged in Battle guy on this side. So let's get and mix it up. We're going to put the Forged in Battle on this guy, on this side, like so, and then we're going to put this guy over here. Okay. So what I like to do is I just like to dip them in there. And then the same thing with this guy. And light horse, you can sometimes put them in a fun angle. Shouldn't be any mesh issues with these dudes. Should be able to mesh just fine. Okay. So that's one done. Okay. We'll do another one that's in the same order. And I'll get to your comments here in a second, because this is, of course, time sensitive because of the epoxy drying out. All right, this time we're going to put this one on this side over here. So have them look forward. And this Hun over here that looks very Mongol-like. Like so. Okay. Next. Of course, we recycle all these stands. We reuse them. We got a guy that's pulling the bow out, and he's on the right-hand side of the stand on that one. So we're gonna flip these two. Oh, Nordic, looks like you changed your icon. I'll take a look at it in a second. Thank you. You have kind of a, hopefully it's something Nordic. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. It's like a sea battle. Sometimes those things are really, really... No, we don't have time for fumbling. Nobody likes a fumbler. And this horse is at an angle, so we're going to go ahead and put this one face forward. Okay. And then lastly, as they like to say in the UK, I've seen a lot of posts by people in the UK, and that's like a firstly. I don't think I've ever said firstly other than right now. Firstly, they're listing out steps of things. It never occurred to me to say that. This particular guy is the same as that other stand, the first one that I did, and he's on the right-hand side of it, so we're going to put him on the left. Oh, we got to hustle. And then this guy is over here. And I think we made it. I think we made it. So here they are. Five stands of light cavalry. Hun light cavalry. Okay. Now, I got to go back 3 pages and see what you guys put down. Just change your avatar to a maelstrom. There you go. I like it. In sky or ground? You have a swimming pool. Have ever read Edgar Allan Poe? Yes. Your name is a play on his short story, A Descent of the Maelstrom. I haven't read that short story. My first exposure to Poe was in the 4th grade. We had a little media center in the back, and they had these headphones you could put on. Hey, state of the art. It was 1980 or 81, one of those two, and 80. And they had a little story that was recited to you or whatever, and it was Mask of the Red Death. And I remember it scared the living shit out of me, you know, because it was guy did a good job of narrating that. But I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. I don't like literature. I don't dislike literature so much. And then I realized it's the only literature that I like. I gave some rope. This is the chord. Tony's Discord. I don't know what you're going with this. Poe is a favorite American author. Sea Battle on Maelstrom, also known as Whirlpool. There's a museum here in Richmond, Virginia, although Poe is buried in Baltimore. There's a bar in Jacksonville Beach that is Edgar Allan Poe based. And I forget what it's called. Been there one time. There's Poe murals and things. It's not as cool as it should be. It really should be pretty cool, and it's not. Yeah, the only thing by Poe that I've read that I don't like the Raven. I don't like how it repeats that shit. I don't care for the Raven. Your Thomas collected works. Poe went AWOL when he stationed at Fortress Monroe in Hampton, Virginia. I know it was an army. Okay. This is what we have. We'll let these clowns dry out. Have them dry a little bit. And I do need to switch the laundry in a little bit. Not right this second. We're going to do the first part of the World War II first. And we're going to take a look at some figures. And I probably need to have a little box because I might as well sort some of this stuff. I'm thinking I may need to do that. I need to sort this stuff so that I won't do the World War II stuff. All right, we'll put this. This is a box that the Otter box came in. 5 stands in, 7 to go. I got a lot more than 7 to go. I got probably another 10 to go. But that's okay. I don't like Stephen King at all. I've tried reading a couple of things, and he creates all these characters and then picks on them. Like, somebody got beat up as a kid. And isn't over it. The way you get beat up being a kid is you grow up and then you beat people up when you're an adult. Payback's hell. All right. These guys are my Resistance figures and a couple of tractors that didn't make it too well. I need to just set them off to the side. Of course, they're plastic. They're probably HO scale. Figured they might be useful to hop in and take off down the road. And I know for a fact I've got 2 different manufacturers in here. Might have a third. One of the manufacturers I'm not a fan of. And look, they're already on pennies. And this is what I would base them on. This is actually, I painted these guys up, this scale figures well before I was doing 15s. So it's natural to just use these guys as the stand. And Litco makes stickers that fit right on pennies. And they also make 20 millimeter stand rounds and 25s. 25s are too big. These, I think, scale out. I did a search on the internet and to find out what dimensions a penny was. And a penny is apparently 19 millimeters or something like that. I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy expensive stands when I could just use pennies for them. And, so we got a couple different manufacturers. This is one I'm not particularly fond of. They're called SHQ. I think they're still around. They just don't have a lot of character. And I have a handful of them. And I will show you what I have. And then the other ones are my second favorite World War II miniature company. Now, I'm not going to include AB because I think I have very few AB. Everybody loves AB, and there's nothing wrong with AB. But I do not have any of their foot, because at the time, they did not make very many different things. They made like crew members, and that was it. All right. My favorite World War II figures, of course, are Combat, which are the old Hotspur range by Dave Alsop. That's how I found out about it. That's how I realized that I like them. Now, I don't have any of these figures painted. Okay, I have no partisans painted. So there's a mixture of different figures here. Male and female, which is kind of cool. So all of my 20 millimeter scale skirmish, I only play skirmish. They all have the surnames of the characters on them, so you can identify them. There's no point in like putting 1, 2, 3, or on the bottom. I just have them. I just make it part of the stand. And here's actually one of those Litco magnets things on there. I got the magnet things when I was doing the DBA stuff, and at that point I'm like, let's try some of these magnets and magnetize some of my 20 millimeter figures, even though I haven't been playing 20 mil since then. Basically, when I picked up DBA, I just pretty much stopped doing this. But they all have their surnames on them. I just put it on a little piece of basswood, sticked up there. Now notice the basing sucks, okay? It's mid-1990s technology or lack of technology. So I am going to, at some point, redo these bases in the modern method using the goop, and they'll look 1,000 times better. But anyhow, so these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess there's 9 figures in here. And I'm not exactly sure what the listing of these guys are. I have a feeling that some of these guys might actually be Eastern European. I could be wrong. But, here's the guy with a Bren gun. This is actually not a bad miniature. Some of them, actually, these SHQ guys are not really, they're not really bad. Now, they are a soft alloy, so this guy's rifle's about to snap off. So this might actually be somebody I won't paint, just because I don't want that to happen to him. Go through all that trouble. But they're not that much bigger than 15s, honestly. I mean, they really aren't. But SHQs are kind of, the more of, they're actually more 1/76 scale than some of the other stuff. But this one particularly, it's got a beret, got a little rifle on there. Got another beret, got another rifle. This almost looks like the French rifle. The MAS, I believe. I forget which one it is, but the Lebel, or I haven't looked at that stuff in a long time. Guy with a field cap, double barrel shotgun. Got a vest on him. This guy's got one of those side caps and a Bren gun. We got a female with a Sten gun. Fighting ladies. And I believe this is another female as well. She's got a Molotov cocktail and a revolver. Dude with a Sten gun and a cap. And I'm not sure this is an SHQ figure. It might be. I'm not sure. That could be a girl. Could be one that goes both ways. Now, it hadn't been invented yet, I think. And another rifleman. They aren't super excited, but so I've got surnames on everything. If I do partisans, they're all going to be first names. So it'll be like, Jean-Luc and Marie and, and all that kind of stuff. I know I'm not doing a Jean-Luc. You don't have anything in 20 millimeter scale. There you go. You have a collection of SHQ and FAA 20 millimeter figures. Those are some of my least. I really dislike FAA, and I have some of them, and you're going to see some of them. They are cheekbone issues to the max. You have a signed copy of one few fiction works of David McCullough, who just died recently. Why does that name sound familiar? What did I miss? World War II time, folks. That's right. 20 millimeter white metal. You got it. Penny stands make a lot of sense. Dun, 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 dun. No Jean-Luc Picard now. No figures in stupid uniforms. Okay, so that's the SHQ guys. Now, another company that I understand these guys are out of production they used to be called Drew's Militia, then they became Battlefield. And some of these sculpts have a lot of character. Some are better than others. Some have odd faces, and some faces are second to none. So, this guy's almost has an AB type face. He's got a Thompson machine gun. He's chucking some kind of concussion grenade. And he looks like he's got like a dinner jacket on. Really nice face. That ought to paint really nicely. I don't think there's any females. Oh, yep, there's definitely one female in the group. I want some female characters. Okay, this guy's holding a flag. Got a little necktie on him and everything. Another Thompson machine gun. Now, some of these guys, they actually have on the stand molded. I don't know exactly how I feel about this. It's got a little bit of brick down here. It's got like a piece of a wall that has a brick on it. I don't know how that's going to translate. I may leave it alone. I may cover it. I'm not sure yet. It's almost like my inclination is to not cover it. But this is kind of a nice figure. We've got what's this guy doing? He's got a wristwatch for starters. They have exaggerated detail on them, and it should paint up pretty well. He's running a rifle, and this looks like the French rifle, to be honest with you. I can't tell the difference between horse breeds, but I can tell the difference between World War II bolt-action rifles. And that's what this looks like. And he's got a wristwatch. Looks like he's calling out a password to somebody. Demarcation! Demarcation! You guys should know where that's from. The female character in pigtails. What's she got? With the Faust. She got the Faust, and she's got some rolled down woolly socks. And she's got, looks like some kind of a pistol. And she has an armband. And no, that's not going to have the crooked spider on it. Going to have some free French. Do they all have free French armbands? Oh, I hope so, because that'd be fun to paint. This guy doesn't. Yeah, so that's the thing about doing partisans is if I do the World War II stuff again, I'll probably just run the game and have people play, the good guys or something like that. Because the partisans are great because you could have communist, anarchist, you could have your little group of, and the game is detailed and slow enough that you could run like 5 people and be plenty busy per person. So you could cooperate with other people or, possibly, backstab other folks, Those French resistance fighters went every which way. Got some guys that are kind of skulking here with Sten guns. Here's one. And here's another. This guy's advancing. He's got a potato masher stuck in his belt loop. Both of them have bricks. Bricks on the stand. Who's this guy? Here's another Sten guy. I forgot about the armbands. Oh, that's going to be fun to paint that. Here's another Sten guy. Another Stenny. This guy's got a Thompson. And some dynamite. And a ridiculous mustache. Could be somebody like Maurice. Who else we got here? Guy with a Piat. And what else does he have? Nothing, that's it. A Piat. With no ammo loaded. A couple of Bren gunners. Here's one. Oh, he's got a nice pistol case there. And I'm not sure if this is a Bren gun or it's that Czech machine gun that the Germans captured, but it's something like that. I think they're different from each other. I have to go through. I got tons of books on all that stuff. I mean, now you just go on the internet. We don't even need books, but another guy with no hat. And if I'm going to carry a light machine gun, I'm not wearing a hat. Here's another. This guy's got a scarf on. I don't know what the hell you'd need a scarf for in Normandy, but maybe if it's in cooler weather. But and then we've got a rifleman here with the French Adrian style helmet. He decided to find one with the comb there at the top of it. And another guy, looks like maybe an officer, maybe the guy in charge, also with an Adrian style helmet. And this guy's got a pistol. I don't know that he's wearing a German jacket or something. I don't know. And then the MG42 team. Got one guy bent over with the 42 being shot over his shoulder. Cool figures. Cool figures. MAS 36. Okay. You got FAA figures because I had Norwegians. Why are some on pennies and other not on anything? I didn't get around to basing them. Or they maybe fell off. They're all thrown in here. These guys won't be on pennies. I might put the machine gunner on a penny. And then, do you have a spare penny? No. Okay, well, I do somewhere. Obviously, I got a whole pile of them. And then this guy will fit on another stand that maybe is attaches to the penny so they could be, you know, next to each other. Because they're going to look really weird, like him by himself. And, well, you know, if his assistant gunner gets killed, guess what? He's going to be going solo. So, M1 rifle without scopes. Your gastroenterologist wanted to endoscope me through my mouth down to the colon. I said no. Tell him you wanted it the other way. You want it from your colon into your mouth. No one takes that route with me. That's worse than the left turn in Albuquerque. All right, we're going to pause right there. Lincoln not popular here in the South. Really? I don't know anybody that has a problem with Lincoln. I mean, he had weird facial hair, but then so did just about everybody in the Civil War. He had big ass sideburns and shit like that. I'll be right back. We're going to put this on pause. I'm going to switch the laundry, and I'll be back in hopefully about 5 minutes. Okay, we're back. What did I miss? He conducted a legal war and overstepped his power many times. What are you saying? He's the Sulla compared to all the people that do the same thing now? You stepped away, what happens? A lot. Is it over already? Oh no. Went to do laundry for a couple of minutes. Aren't there women for that? That's for the cooking. Although I know a lot of guys that cook. I'm just not interested. I paint. I don't have time to freaking cook. I assemble things. I also don't need anybody cooking for me. What's this? Oh, we'll get to that in a second. So we're going to go ahead and do the basing now. Yeah, no, actually, I'm usually the one that does the laundry. I don't mind doing it. So lost the bubble after the Norwegians, yeah. Newsflash, Sweden and Finland want to join NATO. They're trying to get us into a war with the Russians? I'm fine with fighting the Russians, but we need to take out the Chinese first. I'm tired of those sons of bitches profiting every time something goes wrong. It's like, oh, pandemic, Chinese win. Oh, economic downturn, Chinese win. How about suck on this, China, man? It's not because they're Chinese, because they're friggin' Reds. Actually, I don't want to get in a war with anybody. I'm just saying. Sic semper tyrannis. Okay. Sic semper. All right, let's base these guys, and then we'll go back and look at some other World War II stuff. Where is the little tool that I use to not get all messy? There it is. And when you get our little rocks out here, so we don't forget to put them on the stand. That's always annoying to forget to do that. And then you have to try to glue them after the fact. And the goop. Goop. Mark 2.0. Since they decided to not make the Liquitex anymore because it was not from sustainable materials. It's it's this big. You're not going to run the planet into the ground. Vampire is here. So not touching that little toy line. John Wilkes Booth should have made an effort 3 years later. Man, there's some hatred. I don't know anything about it, but I thought everybody liked Lincoln. What do I know? I know that he wasn't exactly fashionable looking, but maybe he's not fun at parties. Okay. Right. Let's get some of this goop down in here. I probably should stock up on this stuff before they find they don't want to make this stuff either, and then I got to go on a search. This stuff is slightly better than Liquitex. It's not above and beyond that much better, but it just happens to be there's a guy that did an excellent review on basing materials. It's relatively a few years ago, and he was very thorough. And basically this material, which is the rough gray pumice, is the equivalent of the resin sand that I was using before. So that's why I went with this one. And it's slightly better. It's got little rocks and stuff on it. It does dry faster, maybe 25% faster. Not touching that little tool. Oh, there's all kinds of things you could say that go along with that, so we'll just leave that right there. I guess if I wanted to learn about more about Lincoln, I'd probably get that audiobook, Killing Lincoln. Because the Reagan book is great. I thought the Killing Reagan book was excellent. I thought the Reagan book was better than the Patton one. The Patton one was narrated by O'Reilly himself, and he's a shitty narrator. That is not his element. His meter is all off and everything. Irony, I had a Lincoln private scholarship in undergraduate school, a full ride. Secretly, I dislike Lincoln the more I researched him. I bet that's probably the same with anybody. The more you find out about famous people, you're like, man, I don't like any of these folks. Something broke in the background. Yeah, that's the girl's. The wife is back. She just didn't want to deal with me. She's travel log, so she's probably going to be going to bed soon. I actually didn't know she was coming back today. I thought it was tomorrow. You know, I'm really nearsighted when it comes to worrying about stuff. If something's like 2 weeks away, I don't worry about the details of it. So I thought she was coming back tomorrow. I had no idea that it was today. Vampire's gone. Apparently my potassium is low. Best president was Jefferson, followed by FDR. I don't know. I probably don't like any of them. I like the ones that leave me alone. Although I did watch a couple of those president lists. There's a couple of guys that have those, top whatever, this, that, and the other. And they're kind of interesting. One guy did a really interesting one on, I forget what his name is. But I actually liked him a lot. And then I realized that he was like an extreme leftist. And I'm like, nah. I like something a little bit more central. Although I don't think that he really chose anybody that... I don't know. You always wonder when somebody skews really to one way or the other. You're wondering if... Can they really be fair? But... Those things are interesting to watch. I'm not interested in the president stuff as much as, like... world leaders and stuff like that. Military stuff. That's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in military history. History is just fine, but, if there was no military history, I wouldn't be like, oh, I can't wait to learn about the people, the signers of the Constitution. I don't care. Is vampire code for nurse? Yeah, no kidding. Except Christian scientists. They hail from the planet Emo. You sure that's not a dwarf planet? Remember, a dwarf planet is not a planet. Bullshit, it's in the freaking name. I know a lot. I've watched some of those things that rating the president. It's one of those rating things, and I've seen it before. And it's like they have like this chart, and it's like S for like super or whatever, and then they go A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever. I don't think they go other than F. So they kind of give them a grade, and they talk about whatever the leader is or whatever, and they put them in a category. And the president's was interesting as they go through them, and I'm not necessarily interested about the stuff that happened, in the last 20 years, because that's very apt to change maybe in the future. But they would rate presidents really poorly. That like Tyler or Harrison or whatever, those guys that like they died immediately or they got assassinated or they didn't. They rated them poorly because they didn't do anything. And I'm thinking, a president that doesn't do anything is kind of like what I like, just leave everybody alone. I mean, why you got to be getting in people's business? Like I wish you could just pay people from Congress and just stay home. Don't create more trouble for us. Military history good, political history bad. Well, military history is we can kind of participate in it, through war games. I mean, unless the only way you can participate in politics is, go into them yourself. And who the hell wants to do that? I sure wouldn't want to. You have some mounted archers shooting sideways, so I turn horses so archers face forward. There you go. Armenians. Yeah. That's my third army, I think, my Armenians, or my fourth. I've played them a lot. I haven't played them in a long time, but I've played them a lot. Used to have this big grudge match between my Armenians and Mitch's Adelaide Pergamony. I was played that quite a few times together. Those were always good games. They're similar-ish armies. Similar-ish armies. Do nothing presidents. Am I a fan of Franklin Pierce? Never heard of her. Yeah, I've heard of him. No, I don't know much. I don't know much about him. Franklin Pierce. Well, that's like 1850s, something like that. I just like politicians to leave us the hell alone. I remember last time I went to D.C., which was a few years ago. We're like, hey, let's go into the Washington Monument. And the guy's like, do you have a reservation? I said, You need a reservation to go on this? Oh yeah, you need to contact your congressman. I said, here's how the relationship between me and my congressman works. We don't have one, okay? And I'd like to keep it that way. So I remember going when I went as a kid, when Reagan was still president, 86, 87, one of those years, I went to DC and I went in the Washington Monument. Said, oh, I didn't get to go. I didn't get to go as an adult. Fine, I won't get scared of heights then. Because that thing was creepy. But no, I don't contact my congressman. Congress person. No. I don't require anything from them other than to leave me alone. Hope Lincoln was not rated highly. He always is. He always is. Am I getting rained on? A little bit this day. If you're hearing that, that's the fan. Worst monument I've ever been in is in the Statue of Liberty. That's weird, isn't it? Up to the crown, going down was horrible. The steps were so small, I felt like I was falling and had a bad panic attack. And it's in New York. Double whammy. I don't see how... I think everybody should go to New York so you realize how fortunate you are that you don't live there. I am not made for a place like that. Especially at night. I don't do well with people walking up to me at night. I'm from the South. You don't walk up to people at night and ask for shit. Yeah, Statue of Liberty is weird, isn't it? The Chrysler Building was cool. The Empire State Building was cool. I always wanted to go in the Empire State Building as a kid. Didn't get to go until I was... Well, it was right after 9/11. 2003, I think. Yeah, good to do once. New York, I don't like. DC is actually okay. I won't want to live there either. I'm just saying, to visit. I don't mind visiting DC. It's pretty cool. I mean, you're paying for all that stuff, so you might as well go see it. My favorite museum is not the one you would think. Not the one you would think that would be my favorite museum. Of course, the one with all the airplanes in it's cool. But the American History Museum I thought was really freaking cool. Mainly because I expected it to be, something I wasn't interested in. And I thought it was really, really interesting. But I could spend a whole lot of time in there. I was really impressed by that flag. I was very impressed by that huge flag. Did you know that Washington Monument was life-size scale of his manhood? Just ask Martha Washington. I thought LBJ had the biggest one. Hence, that's where the name for it comes from. All right, it's refill time. I'll be right back. Did you miss the World War II show and tell? The first part, the small part of it, we got a lot to go. Just got to finish basing these guys so they can dry. It's not over yet. So it was a show that was recommended to me by several people I should watch. And, you know, I take that with a grain of salt for what it's worth. But I got to stop watching it because it pisses me off. And it was The Terminal List. I watched like half of the show and I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. I don't want to see a show about, you know, what's happened in the last 20 years and what people have done and how it's done no good, basically. So I don't want to see that. I don't watch the news, so I don't need more bad news. Like I used to like to watch. I watched like 6 or 7 seasons of The Homeland, and I liked it. Now I don't know if I could. I don't know if I can go back to watching it again. I don't want to watch some current event type of things. So, if we're going to learn about Afghanistan, let's do it in 1890. Tony was complaining about looking too similar to Wayne, so he changed mine to a sea battle in a maelstrom. That's right. Now Wayne can stay W. Now that you're full of food. And I'm sure it's all vegetables, isn't it? But yeah, this army is going to have quite a few stands. You got to have 12 plus at least 8 stands of light horse alone. The elephant, a Saloy stand, a couple stands of bow, 3 cavalry stands. And that's if I don't have multiple leaders, which I'm probably going to do it. Think it's the complete opposite of vegetables. Bread. It was called a Monte Cristo. Oh, that's a bad idea. The first time I ever had it, it was like deep fried ham and cheese sandwich. Yeah, and it has powdered sugar on it. And it's deep fried. And they serve it with like raspberry preserves or something like that to eat it, because it's not bad enough for you. Funnel cake. What a bad idea. Southern food you can't. Why do so many people hate grits? First of all, they're very clean. It's not like you're eating something that's nasty, like a liver or something. I don't understand why so many people dislike grits. I'm not one of them. I rarely eat them, but you made made it to a live broadcast. Dun, da, da, da. No, these are not Peter Pig. These guys are, although I can see why this guy would actually look like a Peter Pig. This is a, who is this fellow? Gladiator Games and a Forged in Battle. And they are perfectly matched size-wise. So this is the Huns, and that's what they're going to be. They're going to be a mixture of those two different manufacturers throughout the whole army. So I do like Peter Pig, though. Mr. Dirk, what exactly are grits? Some kind of a hash brown. How do you not know that? Are you not from America, Nordic? Grits just need butter and salt. That's it. I don't like them sweet grits. That's those Yankee grits. I rarely eat them, and it's just because, it's not something I eat. If I'm having a sit-down breakfast, you better believe it. My dad loved them. My daughter loves them. My wife does not like them. Mitch loves them. And he's a Yankee. What size bases are we using? These are 40 millimeters by 30 millimeters, and they're 3 millimeters thick from Litco stands. All the times I've ordered from them, all the times I push their stuff, I can't believe they haven't even wrote me a nice note. I don't want free shit. I can afford this stuff. Luckily, it'd just be nice. Hey, thanks for promoting your products. Oh, well, you know what? I'm still going to promote your products until they start being shitty. And then I'm not going to do it anymore. You've never had grits. What the hell? Nordic is a Yankee and PA. Grits are not served up there. A Yankee. I'm from the South, but I'm not Southern. I've said that before. And I think it's a good thing. I don't know. Several reenactments, we were served grits. Can't recall seeing them anywhere around here, Wayne. Oh, Command Decision. I haven't played Command Decision since probably 1995. I still have the rules. We used to play Command Decision First Edition. Then we switched to Second. Actually, we played First Edition when that was the only edition. And then we had... some people wanted to do modern stuff before Gorby ruined all that. Ruined all the folded gap stuff. So we had Combined Arms, which I was looking for my copy of it, and I can't find it. I was looking for my copy of it a couple of years ago. Because I had one of these... what was the word? What was it that you called it yesterday, Nordic? Anyways, go down a rabbit hole thinking, hey, I wonder if I did this, what would I get? And I was thinking, You know, it'd be cool to do a World War III set in the late 50s. You know, so you could have those American monster M103 heavy tanks. So you could have heavy, medium, and light tanks still running around. It'd be cool, right? So I'm like, I wonder what the armor on a 103 is. Because I still remember how Chadwick does the armor in Command Decision. I am a fan of how he does the armor. I'm not a fan of how he does the infantry. It's a little too sideshow-ish. I wish they had a little bit more panache to them. But the armor, I'm a big fan of how he does his armor numbers because they're easy to kind of understand. They're really close to, if you multiply them by 10, they're almost equivalent to millimeters of armor that are actually on the vehicles. You know, when you take the slope of the vehicle into effect. So I wanted to see what those M103's armor rating was, and I can't find my copy of Combined Arms. I don't know what the hell happened to it. You like the raspberry iced tea in Lancaster, Pennsylvania? Is that a thing there? Combined Arms is great. I'm basing up some Canadian and Free French forces for Italy 44 using Command Decision 3 this weekend. I never played 3. Yeah, I never played 3. 2 had that great Order of Battle book that came with it. Which, you know, now all that stuff's available with the internet. But before the internet, you know, like I've got one edition from the Command Post that has a lot of like Africa Corps organizations in it. And I always thought that was pretty cool. And Barbarossa 25, I got my copy of Barbarossa 20. It's all like falling apart, you know. Yeah, we did it with GHQ stuff back in the day. As a matter of fact, that's the first miniatures I remember that they were packaged specifically for a rule set. Was the Old Glory 15s that were marketed as Command Decision, you know, whatevers. But I never painted 15s until I started doing these Ancients and Medievals. I'm a 2400 scale or 1/285th or 20 millimeter, depending on whether it was skirmish or operational or naval. A lot of it is my preferences, and a lot of it is that's what people were playing in your area. You can't be like, I'm going to do everything in 12 millimeter. Okay, well, have fun supplying everything because nobody's going to help you out because that's a weird scale. So if you want to, there's a guy in our HMGS South who puts always a bunch of games in, and I never play in them because he's into the history I really don't like. He's really, all his stuff I think is American history stuff, which is like, yawn, you know what I mean? But I think he does 40 millimeter stuff, and he puts on some great freaking, I mean, the games look, I want to say something in a museum, but that's not being fair because there's stuff in the museum that doesn't look very good. His games are really, really good. He just does periods that I'm just not interested in at all, not even remotely. But it's a weird scale, but you know, he supplies everything. He puts on the whole scenario. That's a lot of responsibility. Like, I'd be worried about people like ham-fisting every single thing that I spend a lot of time on. And his stuff looks really good. You know, his name's Bob Moon. Maybe you've heard of him, but his games are beautiful. Okay, stand 2. 2 more to go. Oh, what did I miss? What did I miss? Oh, let me put my glasses on so I can see that cursor. Anybody ever play Phil Barker's World War II rule sets? Not me. The idea that every heavy tank would be the same is like sacrilege to somebody who's a World War II person. Barker's writing is reprehensible. I'm not learning another one of his rules. I think very highly of him, but it shouldn't be that difficult to play his damn game, damn it. You're getting a thunderstorm warning. It's that day of the year for you guys to get thunderstorms, huh? I hear when it rains a lot out there. In Arizona, Stan. Your eyesight may force me to start using my Britain's Models 54mm soldiers. I came across somebody that actually had made a set of rules to use those plastic soldiers that we used to play as kids. And I'm like, well, that would have been really cool to have it when I was 13, but I don't want to go back and play those things. All those little Airfix guys, that's what I started with. Those 1/72nd scale Airfix guys. Of course, in the U.S., or at least in my part of the U.S., they never carried Airfix stuff. It was always rebranded as MPC. And it was basically the same stuff. You know, the plastic was maybe a different color and the box art was better because MPC had awesome box art. It was like inspirational. Just the style, it was like oil paintings or whatever. I don't know why they decided to rebrand the boxes, but they did. So if you like Command Decision, a game that's pretty cool, and I have a copy of it, and I've never played it, and actually, coincidentally, know one of the people who was one of the playtesters, and it just so happens. It's a game called, I shouldn't say, Clash of Armor. So Clash of Armor and Command Decision are the same scale, 1 to 5, right? So if you got a company of German tanks, that's 3 tanks. But what's neat about the set of rules, I haven't played it, but I've read into them. And other than the artwork is pretty cool. It almost looks like a cross between Roger McGowan's artwork and like a comic book. I really like it. It's stipply, and anyhow, if you look at the cover, you'll see what I'm talking about. And if you know who Roger McGowan is and what he's done in the past. But what's really cool about him is that every unit has like an activation number. And it's kind of like Lion Rampant. You have a certain number that you have to roll under to activate the unit. And if you fail, it goes back to the other person's turn. But you can activate them multiple times. But every time you activate them, you start putting like wear and tear on the unit. So like if you've got like a company of Tiger 1s, for instance, and you need them to do some dirty work to turn maybe the battle around, you can like activate them multiple times. Of course, every time you activate them, and this is all in the same bound, every time you activate them, you're going to incur let's just call it disruption. It might be something, fatigue, I think is what they use. And, it's harder and harder to do it every time. So a subsequent activation would incur fatigue, which makes them less effective and harder to activate. So it's kind of an interesting press your luck kind of mechanism. I haven't played it, but I did read the rules back when I would read rules and not play them. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Now I'm the opposite. I want to play them without reading them. I want to paint the shit for them and never play the game. But that was kind of an interesting take. I like that 1 to 5 scale type game. Now, Joel has mentioned in our play group has mentioned that he's going to do World War II, and he wants to use rapid fire, which I am not a fan of. But I'll play. He's supplying everything in 15s. Again, 15s aren't a scale for me in World War II, but I'll play. But you know, he's going to be the point man on it. So there's a question. I'm not looking it up. He can answer it for me. I'm just there to roll dice. Played Phil's World War II rules, 300 scale, way back when. I seem to recall they worked quite well on that scale. Did you have to conform? You have to do perfect conforming and with tanks? You own Barker's World War II rules, but never actually played. Bought some GHQ microarm, didn't ever get along. Too much WRG 7th edition at the time. I got Clash of Armor here somewhere. Maybe I'll take a look for it. See if I can find it. Well, there's Command Decision. If I need a flashlight, I'm not going to find it. These closets suck the way they're set up. You can't get to half the shit in them. It's in there somewhere. I've never played it. I have looked at the rules, though. I don't even know why the hell I got them. Probably because I like the cover of them. Back when I was doing micro armor. Yeah. Is this them? No. I do not know where they are. They're in there somewhere. I don't know if they're in print or anything. Kind of an interesting take. Same scale, same 1 to 5th scale thing. You gonna paint your own figures? You could use your Battlefields of Mana guys for that. Should work just fine. You have WRG 7th. Use it for a coffee coaster. So when I started wargaming, the game that I always heard, because I didn't know anybody that played any Ancients. Just Ancients weren't a thing in this part of Florida, I guess. The game that I always heard about people getting into arguments about was Starfleet Battles. And I never played it because it didn't look good, and I'm not a Trekkie. Just never appealed to me. But that was the game that everybody supposedly argued about. But I look at the rules for an excuse to paint miniatures and get them to use, not necessarily like I want to be right the way the rules are. I don't really have really strong opinions about certain things, unless it's a period that I'm like really into. Like I got strong opinions about World War II stuff, but Ancients, whatever, you know. You want to go with 28 millimeter for Lion Rampant. You have so much 28 millimeter terrain. I don't know why 28 millimeter is so popular. I don't get it. Maybe people are used to Warhammer. I don't have a love for the scale. They're super expensive, but that's not. I don't want to spend that much time freaking painting them. Unless I'm going to live like 400 years. Take me too long to paint them. I can't do a sloppy job on them. So. And man, they're expensive. A pack of plastic figures shouldn't cost $30. They just shouldn't. I know some of the Games Workshop stuff's probably even more than that. It's freaking plastic. I got a friend of mine that he told me a while ago. He said that he had to switch 28s because he couldn't paint 15s anymore because he was shaking too bad. And I'm like, man, I hope I don't get to that. But I don't know that that would help because it's, you know, yeah, the figures are bigger, but you got to put more detail on them because they're bigger. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a good solution for me. But I've never played Warhammer or anything, so maybe that's why. Wish I could remember who it was on the miniatures page. It said many years ago. I saw him post that. I even looked at for it the other day. It's a great comment. I just think it's hilarious. You know, if you get upset with it, you need to get some thicker skin. You know, but it was something along the lines of anything larger than 20 millimeters playing with dollies. And I remember the first time just busted out laughing. You know, play whatever scale you want, but I thought that was funny. Napoleonics will always be the centerpiece of the wargaming hobby. Know it, live it, and get used to it. Okay. The folks here that played Napoleonics were no fun to play with. So I never got into it. French just don't make very good bad guys. I mean, you just can't beat Nazis and communists for bad guys. How many DBA armies do I have? Shit. 35, 36, 37, something like that. A lot. A lot and not a lot, considering how long I've been doing it. Under 40. Just under 40 is probably accurate. I'm ready to play something. Doesn't mean I'm not going to play this stuff. I'm ready to play something that's has a little bit more narrative driven. That makes sense. So it'll be real easy to be like, you know, I'm tired of painting these Huns for a while. Let me go paint a building. So I'll go paint a building, you know? And then I go back to these. Or like I did last year, I painted a couple tanks that I had for, shit, I had probably 20 years at that point. Okay, one left to go. What rule set these wee horsies for? DBA, De Bellis Antiquitatis. You have a dozen DBA armies. Why isn't that enough? It is. You could just have one if that's what you want. I have no Napoleonic armies. Why isn't that enough? It's too late for me to build some now. Mitch has them all, and so does Joel, so that'd be stupid for me to build them. I could just kick ass with their Austrians. You know the thing about Napoleonics, though? I have zero interest in reading about the history of it. Like, I could just be like, hey, let me take an Audible book about the Napoleonic. I'm not interested. I don't mind playing it. I just don't feel like there's a... And as a matter of fact, the last couple times I've played Napoleonic games, I've really had a good time. I just don't want to read about the history of it. Maybe it's all those sideburns. All those furry sideburns. Okay, I get to read your comments in the voice of my choosing. It didn't. You be shameful. Stuff with scenarios, exactly. Yeah, playing those scenarios that we did earlier this year really kind of turned me on to the idea that I like battles that are unbalanced. And then you just play both sides. Play whatever kind of a game is short enough that you have time in one evening for you to switch sides and you know and then experience the torture the other guy got experienced too. Battles don't have to be like a chess match where, you know, everybody has the same amount of whatevers. And I'm not playing another game where you have to conform to the other guy's troops. I'm fed up with that. I'm fed up with all the mental anguish that you have to go through to try to... All the problems that you have to try to figure out in your head that a real commander wouldn't be doing. They'd just be like, just see those guys over there? Go poke them. Well, do I need to conform exact? Go freaking get them. Well, I know, but I'm not lined up on them. It said, do you see this stick? You see their stick? Poke them with your stick and not get poked by theirs. You know, and then focus on the other stuff that you need to be focusing on, not the weird conforming crap. '17th century history. Welcome. That'd be funny if you didn't like 17th century history, but you used it as your name. That'd be like if my handle was Dirty Commie. 17th century history. I should change mine to 16th century history. I like 16th century history. Painting this red uniform British make my pupils overdilate. There was a guy who was our tour guide in Washington, D.C. on the bus, and he went by Mr. History, and he was a lot of fun, and he made it interesting. Mr. History. I don't know, that sounds like somebody who knows about all periods of history, and that certainly wouldn't be, that can't be most people. Most people definitely specialize. I certainly don't know about 17th will work. Yeah. So we'll finish this up, put some rocks on it, You know, while these guys dry, we'll pull out some more 20s and talk WW2. I'm surprised how little difference in size they are. They're not that much bigger than these 15s. These 15s have grown. They're not the old minifigs 15s. These guys are bigger. Always with the negative ways. Man, don't be quoting my least favorite World War II movie. Jeez. The movie, actually, there's two other guys on this channel that have come on here that also did not like that movie. I don't know if it's my least favorite World War II movie, but hippie vibe just doesn't belong in World War II. Dr. Oz has a blog. No one goes there anymore. Isn't it Mr. History has a blog? Dr. Oz has a blog. No one goes there anymore. I hate blogs. Well, I don't mind reading them. I had one. I had not a blog, but I had a site where I had my pictures. You don't know who's watching them. You could be just wasting your time. Nobody goes to them. You know? You don't know who saw them. If anybody's paying attention, you could be like on some mountaintop, like screaming a sermon out to everybody, and you're blind. You don't know that there's no one in the whole country. Like, what good is it? It's like for people that like to write. I don't like to write at all. I'm not a fan of writing. Doesn't mean I can't. I'm not a fan of it. Just like when you were in school, some people didn't like giving a presentation. I didn't mind giving a presentation. A presentation is easy to do if you know what you're talking about. If you don't know what you're talking about, well, that's a different matter altogether. But if you know what you're talking about, it's easy. You just need to maybe get an outline and talk about it. But when I was in school, I was always freaked out by it. You got a paper due. Oh, fuck. Have to do that the last night. It was like torturous. I'd rather like work for a whole year with no pay than have to do one more paper ever. Torture. That's done. Oh, no, you don't. Do not let an epoxy bottle be sitting on its side. Nothing good can happen from that. What Facebook forums do you now really like, Tony? So here's an interesting thing that happened 2 days ago. I got invited to a forum that should have been created 10 years ago. And it was called something along the lines of Florida Ancients and Medieval Wargaming or something like that. And some guy created because he wants to have more tournaments at our conventions, and which we've been having for our rule set forever. It may not be the rule set he wants to do, but we've been having them forever. So anyways, that's fine. You know. I don't have any intentions on playing any more tournaments at Historicon. So as far as I'm concerned, all my tournament play if any, will be in Florida. So yeah, it makes sense to have that group. I'll participate. But I'm like, do I really need to be a member of another forum? Because I'm already a member of, like, I'm going to throw a number out there, 50. And it's probably not 50, but it is 40. You know, different war gamers and different scale and military book marketplace and in World War II and the group of this and a couple of car groups that I am and a couple of, you know, some other groups. And I'm like, all right, the only way I'm going to accept this membership is I need to go through and purge the sites that I don't get any more traction. Like I'm getting exhausted cross-posting stuff. And, you know, you go and you make a video or something like that. So, you know, I want people to know about this rule set, not because it's awesome, but I play it and I don't want it to die because I want to have people to play it with. And I'm not doing it for the money or anything. I want people to be as excited. Maybe somebody will be interested in seeing this thing that we do. So I posted on all the Facebook groups that I'm a member of. And you know, I've noticed over the last 10 years, 5 years, 8 years, whatever, a lot of these groups have people selling, trying to push something and nobody's listening. And it's honestly really exhausting because you got to go and click post this and then go again and post this. And it takes time out of your routine of, you know, make the video, edit the video, upload it, then wait for it to come finally on available to share it on Facebook. And actually, last problem I've had is the thumbnails don't work, even though that's happened to me probably half dozen times and I've been able to solve it. And I'm just like, I'm getting burned out. I'm getting really burned out. I'm not getting burned out on painting. I'm not getting burned out on wargaming. I'm getting burned out on pushing a narrative. And it's like, you know, if people, I need to limit how much I'm doing in certain places. So I'm like, okay, I'll join this group, which I should be a part of. And I'm going to go through my groups and eliminate my membership in a few. And I think I dropped my membership the other day on probably 20 groups. You know, two of them that I thought were, and it wasn't necessarily because of any of the people on there being bad mouthing and stuff like that, but you know, they're not negative people. They're just no traction or ever for your thing. And you know, if you're a creative person like I am, the worst thing I can do is get burned out, and I was getting burned out on that. So, one of the groups, which has quite a few members, is a group called the War Game Spot, and the War Game Spot was kind of like done as a, you know, you can promote whatever rule set you want here, whatever, but it's mainly the home for the Clash of Spears group. And I'm never going to play Clash of Spears. The Clash of Spear guys are never going to play DBA. And, you know, it's nothing ugly, but it's just that, you know, I'm wasting my time posting there, you know. You're tempted to rejoin Facebook as long as no one uses my credit cards unlawfully more. Don't put your credit cards on there. Yeah. How many times has Tony peed tonight? I think twice. I'm not drinking tea or coffee, though. Everybody says that coffee makes him go number 2 a lot. It makes me pee like crazy, and tea, too. You recently purchased vacation property in Asheville, North Carolina, the land of breweries. I'll tell you a little thing about Asheville, North Carolina. If you go there, you got to bring your own woman, because there's some hippie-ish people there. I mean, unless you're into that, you know. It's a cool place, actually. It's a cool place. I've been there a few times. Facebook is hot garbage. I don't go there at all anymore. Well, okay. I'll tell you what it's really good for. I think it's really good for a hobby. It's really good for those of us that take pictures and post things easy. I think bulletin boards suck. It's impossible to, like, you have to go to some hosting thing, and I'm not going to pay somebody to host my pictures so then I can put a URL and then put... That sucks, you know. I mean, like, I recently joined Lead Adventure Forum. I think the forum is great. I think there's a lot of creative people on there. But I don't know if I'm ever going to post any pictures there because you got to jump through a flaming hoop to put a picture up, as far as I'm concerned, from like a phone and stuff. So Facebook isn't perfect, but you know, it is free. And I don't get in arguments with people, so if I was starting out in Ancients right now, what game would I use? Do you have anybody to play with? Because if you do, what are they playing? And if they're already playing something, do what they do. You know? Stayed off Facebook more than 10 years. Yeah. I don't have a problem with it, but I use it mainly for the hobby. So here we go. And it seems like the backside's a little bit more interesting because of the... Don't go there. Because, careful, Marco's here. Because of the cloaks and stuff like that, it makes them look kind of rustic. So, why is this taller than the other ones? Ah, because there's little magnetic thingies here. Isn't this social media? I think it is. If it's just me, what I do not argue. If it's starting off, what game would I pick? That was a sales pitch, Rick. You failed worse than a dude trying to get me to play Art de la Guerre. Art de la Guerre is too many troops. I like YouTube too, but here's the thing. I could probably be okay, get off Facebook and not post on there, because I only have, less than 400 followers, friends, whatever. And here we got almost 2,000. So, you know, we're having a more of an impact. I like to think a positive impact. You guys do other scales, other periods. That's cool. We're all being creative. We're all talking about history. It's all getting your juices going. You know. Americans in glass houses. Well, by your definition, I'm not American. And that's a good thing, by your definition. You have Field of Glory. We'll just use that rules. The problem with Field of Glory is that if I had nobody to play with, I just play Field of Glory on the computer. It's an okay game. It's not perfect, but it's an okay game. I'm not really interested in playing because there's nobody to play it with. You know, you can have really cool stuff happen and like, hey, you'll never believe. Oh, you know, there's no human interaction. It's not social. You know, I don't have a problem with Facebook. I hate TikTok. I hate Reels. People that are like, hey, let me do a funny dance for people to have followers. I use Facebook for, you know, social interactions within the hobby that we all share. That's pretty much it. Video photo sharing. Yep, that's it. Yeah. At work again. Man, you work weird hours. Maybe you work on night shift. Okay. So these guys are done. Let's get some World War II dudes out here. Do I need a refill? Yeah. I'm gonna have to pee a lot. That'll get Marco excited. I'm gonna have some water for a change. I'll be right back and then we'll dive into some 20s. thinking about it, Nordic, since you mentioned it, I'm going to pull it out. Don't get excited. One of these books that I bought and probably never did a damn thing with it. I want to read about this French rifle. Green Hill Military Manuals. Military Rifles of 2 World Wars. So, certainly, printed in Singapore. I better be careful I shut this book properly or they'll beat me with a cane. Is that MAS in here? Ought to be. A lot of Mausers. Craig Jorgensen. Arisaka. What's your favorite? Here it is. MAS 1936. What's your favorite weapon of the World Wars? 7.5 millimeter by 54. Just make up your own round. I know it's magazine fed. 5-round integral charger loaded box. Okay, so it probably uses stripper clips. 5-round magazine. So the Enfield had to be the one that had the biggest magazine because it had a 10-round magazine. This MAS has a 5-round. The Mausers had 5-rounders. I think the Muss and Nagants had 5-rounders as well. Interesting. First few deliveries were made in 1937, but a few MAS-36 rifles had reached the Army when the Germans invaded France in 1940. What the hell were they using before that? Well, the metal parts in these pre-war guns were generally phosphated, although some were apparently painted black, perhaps those made hurriedly in 39 to 40, and others were browned for the Navy and Marines. I've seen people paint miniatures with rifles. They actually use gray instead of metallic colors. And I think it looks good in practice, but I think I'd be a little scared to do it. Okay, we don't have time to read about that. We got to look at figures. So these guys were just laying there on the top. I don't know why the hell are they, but they are battlefield miniatures, I'm pretty sure, or are they ABs? Jeez, are they ABs? Do I actually have AB figures? I didn't think I had standing guys. These are self-propelled U.S. tank crew. I'm not sure which one they are. They might be Battlefield. I do have some AB guys. Oh, these half figures are so freaking cute. Yes, I can use cute when I'm talking about little warriors. They are. Look at this guy with the goggles. This guy right here, the driver. Adorable with those football helmets. I'm quiet for bits because my head hurts a lot. Painting my gomes. Looking for the World War II reveal. Night guards at historical museum. Talk to the Egyptians. Saw this movie a few times. Making a diversion from France 1940 to Poland 39. I would never do Poland 39. You know why? German tanks with white crosses look stupid. I don't like them in France to begin with because they don't have, like Panzer IIIs don't have the storage thing behind the turret. They look silly. They look like that one SUV that needs a roof rack and doesn't have one. Just looks weird. Do I have the scenario book for Command Decision Poland and France? German Luger with banana clips. Yeah. BAR, huh? I don't know, I have a preference. I think the best looking one is MP44. I think MP44 is just flat out sexy. But yeah. So I've got an M10. I got an M10 or something like that somewhere. That's what I got these guys for. But I have mixed feelings about putting tank crews in tanks because if they're in there, then you know they're unbuttoned. And maybe you just kind of have to paint them, and they're like a little diorama, and sometimes they're actually in play and sometimes they're not. Because they certainly look cute when they have little heads popped up. Okay, you see this big bag of stuff? This isn't all my 20s. This is just One Nation's 20s. One Nation's 20s that I haven't painted. And it's Nordic's favorite nation, the commie bastards. So we're going to look at some commie bastard figures. And some of these are ones I don't like. Some of these are ones I really don't like. And some of these are ones I like a lot. And some of these are ones I like a lot that aren't made anymore. Did you get all that? It'll be a quiz. And there weren't a lot of Panzer IIIs in France. There weren't. Or 4s. There's even less 4s. But a Panzer IV-C or a D just looks weird without the turret bustle. That's what we used to call them, the turret bustle. You know, the box behind it. You love the look of an S-35 Samoa. I don't like the camouflage scheme on them with that hard edge. It just looks like it's painted weird. Now, I do like all the playing card motifs and stuff that they did for the French tanks. I think that stuff's cool. And isn't the Samoa, they have a little plate on the front that says Samoa in case you forget what tank it is. Like if you get blinded, you're like, what tank is this? Samoa. Oh, okay, got it. Hurry and paint commies. I got a lot of fixed machine gun positions waiting them under enact World War I. You have 26mm Samoa S-35. So, interesting story. The first time I was a kid and I bought some micro armor, we went to this place in Jacksonville called Zeno's. And it used to be a game shop that had, I think, 3 locations in Jacksonville, which is kind of unheard of. This is probably 1986. Just throw a year out there. 86, it might have been 87. Might have been 85. It was one of those 3. And they had miniatures, and they happened to carry, at that point, a lot of CNC. So I didn't know what theater I wanted to do, and I wanted to have a little bit of anything, and I'm a kid, I'm stupid, right? And so I ended up buying a pack of Italian M11340s, a pack of Samoa S35s, some T-3485s, some Panzer IV H's. What else did I buy? Some Bishops. Talk about useless, okay? Bishop self-propelled guns. So I'm like, oh, I'll do North Africa. Well, at the time, they didn't use them in North Africa. They used them maybe they may have used them in Tunisia, but they're mostly a Sicily onwards type weapon. And I think, yeah, they're not in any of the army lists. When I got Command Decision, I'm like, I got these tanks. I can't use them in North Africa. What the hell? Well, you're an idiot, and you went and bought things without knowing what the hell you were buying, Did you hear about the company that made yardsticks? They don't make them any longer. They don't make them any longer. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so let's see what the hell's in this bag. Well, first of all, we have a self-propelled gun crew. And a lot of this A lot of this these are Drew's militia. Yeah, even says on there, Drew's militia. And these guys are out of production. And I believe the sculptor, the guy's name is Andrew. That's why it's called Drew's. And I think he went on and sculpted for Battlefield. I'm not really sure exactly what the details are, but I'm a member of that group. That's the I think two groups that are dedicated to these figures, as strangely as it is. But this is an self-propelled gun crew for them. So this would be something that would like go. You can put a couple of these guys in like an Su-76, and these guys have flash that falls over. Yeah, binoculars. Oh, really? You're going to be like that? Where's my X-Acto knife? I'll straighten your commie ass right now. It's funny. When I was playing World War II, I never referred to them as commies and Nazis. It was always, not even Soviets. It was always Russians and Germans. Boy, this guy wants to fall over. Well, he won't when he's on a penny. But if I end up mounting him exactly in there, this looks like a 76 millimeter shell. Then we'll just take him off the bases. But yeah, out of production. And I've painted some of these figures, not these in particular, and they're actually nice looking. They're really nice looking figures. And I'm going to pull some out just to show you. Because it might be a figure line you guys aren't familiar with. Let's get, where are the Russians? Let's get the mortar team out here. They make a nice mortar team, 4-man mortar team. 82 millimeter mortar. Disregard the basing, it's extremely ancient. And these guys are slightly semi-gloss looking. That's an easy fix. See if the lighting's okay in here. And these guys were painted probably somewhere around 1997. Like I said, just forget that they're shiny. You could take care of it. But this is Baranov. And he's actually has his hand in a sling. And they're actually nice little castings. Got a Pepe Shah slung over his shoulder. The other guys on the crew is Melnikov with some ammo. Oh, hold on. It helps if I put them in the right middle of the screen. And then this guy too, with the little mortar round. Got the little padded jackets. This guy that just can't take it anymore. And these are some of the first figures I ever painted using the kind of painting method that I use now all the time for everything. You know, it's just all drabby type stuff. You know, they're not colorful clothes and things like that. And here's the little mortar. But, you know, this is just a matter of take the goop these guys up, bring them up to standard, put some tufts on there, and they would look solid, you know. Anyways, cool little crew. They're individually named. What game are they for? I didn't like Battleground World War II. I was actually coming up with my own game. And that didn't work well because I didn't have a Mitch at the time that I could play with every week. And so it was really slow progress. But I did come across a set of rules around 2002 called The Face of Battle, Canadian rules by Canadian. And they're out of print now, and that's what we used. And I've only played them a couple times, but if I get into World War II, that's what we'll do again. They're real anal retentive, but they have a hell of a great narrative, you know. What is this? That dude throwing up while pointing at Rick. Oh, man. Yeah, I had a copy of Battleground World War II, and I'm not a... You want to know what super detailed is? There's two games I had that are more super detailed. I think Face of Battle is just fine. It's totally doable. I should just do it just to prove that. But I have two sets of rules that are more detailed than Face of Battle, and I have them both handy here. One of them is relatively new and is okay, meaning I've actually played it and it's actually all right. And it's made by North Star Games, I believe. I could be wrong. It was carried by North Star Games. Normandy Firefight. But this one's like, you can only handle like 3 guys. But the problem is there's no rules for vehicles at all, which I don't want a skirmish game that's vehicle heavy, but I wouldn't mind having, you know, Kubelwagen trying to run over people or something like that. You know, it's not bad. I've ran it a couple times and it's okay. Final Combat's the other one. Final Combat's absurd. It is just absurd. It focuses on so many things that I have no interest in. Yeah, Final Combat. I tried reading it and it's just like a... You know, it's funny because it has a lot of detail with a lot of things, and it has a lot of things that don't have a lot of detail. No, the thing that's worse than that is Phoenix Command. I've got some World War II games from Phoenix Command, and those are just beyond absurd. But Normandy Firefight's actually not bad. I ran a sniper hunt a couple years ago, maybe 10 years ago with it, and it played okay, but it was... When we used to do World War II, I was always playing, and I think the way to move it forward is I'll just be the GM. I'll just be the GM and move things along and have everybody play on one side. You know? All right. More communists. What time is it? 9:30? Oh, heck. We got time for this. If I ever wonder where my extra pennies are, there's a bunch of them in here. Let's see who we got here. Ah, yes, a shitty figure. This is an FAA figure. And the problem with FAA figures, and I have a couple of them painted, is some of their weapons are almost like tubes. They don't look like the weapon they're supposed to represent, like their rifles and stuff. I've painted some of them because at the time, these battlefield Russians weren't available. And here's my favorite figures right here. And these are the combat miniatures, is what they were put as in the U.S. But these are all Dave Alsop's beauties, which I probably shouldn't leave them in a big box thrown in there because I'm going to lose this bayonet eventually. And here's an FAA figure. Guy with a cap. Here's another combat guy. It's slinking around. I need to put these guys probably by manufacturer. FAA guy goes there. Just before I stopped doing World War II, when I started doing DBA, Battlefield Miniatures came out with a Stalingrad line of figures for Russians and Germans. And this happened, and they are excellent. And this happens to be one of them. Here's a Stalingrad Russian. And literally they came out with them in like 2003. And like 3 years ago, I'm like, hey, I wonder who makes these figures again. And they're all gone. Like the website's totally gone. And apparently they made them. The molds went south. They got worn out and they never redid them. So you played Final Combat at Attorney years ago. Actually plays okay when you have just one soldier under your control. There's only a time I saw 54 millimeters in a World War II game. Yeah, he puts on a good game, but yeah. Having one soldier is a problem because, you know, what if you die? You're out of the game. I think having three is okay. I like to play Face a Battle where you have two people running a squad together. So somebody plays the squad leader, somebody plays the assistant squad leader. I think it works pretty well. Yeah, I love the Battlefield stuff. I fortunately bought one pack of everything. And I have a couple of them painted up. Not the Russians. I've got a couple of the Germans painted up. Here's a guy reading a map. Also a Battlefield guy with a Pepe Shaw on the back. This is a strange figure. Because this is... here's weird. He's got an early World War II Soviet helmet, and the early Soviet World War II helmet was almost kind of like the Adrian helmet that the French had, where it had that built-in little crest, and you can see it here. It's got a crest on it, and he's actually got, looks like armor, which there were some guys that actually had some armor on them. I don't know how effective it was. Obviously, if it didn't hit them where the armor was, it's useless. But here's an early Soviet guy. Yeah, here's an FAA Pepe Shaw guy in the Scouts pajamas with the hoodie and everything. That's what I'll do. I'll go through here and we'll break them down by manufacturer. Look at this sniper. This is a cool freaking sniper. This is a Battlefield miniature sniper. He's got the padded jacket. He's got the Nagant rifle all like, got stuff all over it so it doesn't shine, like it blends in. What a cool figure. All right. You guys enjoying this? Would be great for Arc of Fire. You always think of ASL as age, sex, location from old AOL. I never had AOL. I know what you're talking about, though. I was an MSN guy. Here's another sniper. Here's another Soviet sniper. Cool figure. Really cool figure. What do we got here? Oh, we're starting to get into the zone of half-ass finished things. Here's a guy with the long coat, Battlefield guy. Nice figure. I got one pack of everything because all these guys are going to have surnames. I don't want them to all be the same pose. Now, in retrospect, I probably would have been able to have, find like 2 or 3 guys that are the same pose. You could paint them differently, You still have an AOL account. Wow, I never had one. Okay, speaking of shitty, here's an SHQ guy. He's just not inspirational at all. Now, he's probably the more realistically shaped guy because honestly, these guys are a bit cartoonish. I mean, he's significantly bigger, but I'm probably never going to do anything with these guys. SHQ guy over there. All right. If you guys enjoy this, we'll go through all my 20s and we'll sort them and look at... The cool thing about this is a lot of this stuff isn't available anymore. And honestly, it was just yesterday, but it wasn't. It was 20 years ago, but it seems like it was yesterday. Honestly, I don't do much skirmish games anymore. You can do so much more with a good set of Operation Level World War II and Command Decision or Battlefront. See, I did the opposite. I got burned out on operational stuff, so I don't want to do that anymore. I've done it all. So I went kind of in the opposite. Well, I haven't done anything with this stuff in 20 years, but Here's some guys that I started painting. These guys are both FAA guys. The problem with the FAA guys is they all have the same face and it's cheekbony. I'd probably still paint them though, because I need some guys like, you know, there's a couple of scenarios that in some scenario books that I've seen need some guys with paper shahs, and I've got some paper shah troops, some machine gunners. So I'm not opposed to using them. I just probably wouldn't buy any more. All right, next batch. Ah, yes, old combat miniatures dude. And I believe this guy had a separate arm that you had to glue on. I'm surprised it hasn't broken off. Actually, it's probably a good thing that I'm doing this and just sorting them so I can put them in some kind of a better place so they're, you know, when I get around to painting them, they're not destroyed because they're not available anymore. Here's an interesting guy. This looks like a Cossack or something like that from Battlefield. When I say Battlefield, you can just say Drew's Militia, Battlefield Blitz. I think there was a Blitz portion of it. You know, they're all the same type of sculptor. Nice figure there with the furry hat. This is the first Drew's Militia guys I remember ever seeing, and it was the Russians at Berlin, basically. So they're like really late war. This guy has the semi-automatic rifle, the SVD-40. But he's got the later equipment. You can see he's got the later uniform that has the shoulder boards on there, because most of the early war stuff is just very, very simplistic. So actually, really early, they have a different type of stuff around their insignia, and then mid-war is like, screw it, just get out there and survive. But yeah, he's a Battlefield guy. This is, I got a pack of these tank riders, but I don't know what the hell I would use these guys for. Certainly not to ride on a tank, but I picked them up anyways. Here's a officer of some sort laying on a tank, lounging about. Oh, let me close this so I can see your comments. Figures more valuable when you put them on pennies. Yes, but they're nearly worth almost the same. First models were Battle Honors, True 25. Those models were nearly 20 millimeter. I remember those. Yeah. What would they call, like Barbarossa to Berlin or something like that? All right. Next batch. Ah, yes, a patriotic Soviet. So this guy's an early war guy. He's got the whole puttees thing going on, the mummy wraps around his legs, and he's got some kind of commie flag. He's over here in that batch. This guy's cool right here. He's got a DP machine gun, light machine gun there with the, what do they call it? The oil tan. I think it's 47 rounds. What a weird number. I think it's a 47 round thing. And looks like he's dinged a little bit. His jacket is ripped there. Yeah, this is from the Stalingrad range. Those are some beautiful figures. Who else do we got here? Ah, yes. The old officer with a bald head. Yeah, also from Battlefield. Just a standard Soviet rifleman. Battlefield. What you don't know about World War II wargaming is a lot. Really? That's not your period? That's all we used to play is World War II stuff. That's the only thing we used to play, basically. This guy is an interesting fellow. He's got field cap. Almost looks like it could be a lady. Yeah, kind of holding a flag, but it'd be a pretty small flag if they're holding that. And here's a loader from FAA. Just, God, look at his face. Just totally mismolded. Oh, this guy's a cool guy. Soviet rifleman. With the trench coat. All kinds of odd shaped things here. Yep, here's the Soviet. Now, here's the interesting thing. I don't know if you guys can make this out, but this guy has insignia on his collar that is etched in there, so it's really easy to paint it. Just some really nice figures. Here's another one of these sorry SHQ guys that just leave. See, he's like this guy. They're not the same figure, but they might as well be because their equipment is exactly the same on both of them. They both have the same rifle. They're just like, you know, I could paint them and use them as filler for something, but... All right, now we got some interesting shit here. Oh, here's one of these useless figures. Guy with some kind of a C4 or Bangalore torpedo or something like that. But then he's got a freaking Pepe Shah, which would be really nice for him to have that without the freaking torpedo type thing. Shaped charge, demolition device, all from Battlefield. Okay, this guy is an FAA guy with a PTRS or PTRD 14.5 millimeter anti-tank gun, which they also use for sniping and stuff like that. Back when I played World War II, nobody was arguing that the side skirts on Panzers weren't for bazookas and stuff like that. And since then, it's like, oh no, they were really to stop these guys right here. Hey, it was the 90s. What do we know? And this is an assistant machine gunner for some Battlefield thing. You see, he's not completely painted. I still had to bring him up a few levels. And here's a little cute little machine gun. Aww, little Maxim. Okay. He really liked 25 mil, was disappointed with a creep up to 28 with early 2000s. Luckily, I can actually use it as a teenager. Could be wrong, but shouldn't most of the Russian army World War II be either dead or captured? Remember the old Airfix 76 scale had Africa Corps surrendering? Yeah, I hated that figure. It's useless. 20 mil is a good scale. Weirdly, some recent 15s almost reach the same size as the older 20s. Yep. Okay, here's another officer from Battlefield. I got a lot of Battlefield guys. This is the guy that in my name I had already named him Colonel Kornilov for some reason. Because he's definitely a high-ranking officer. He's got shoulder boards with little... They're etched on there. An FAA rifleman. You could see even back then I was priming them in black. Okay, this is basically the squad leader from Combat Miniatures. With the Pepe Shah. Combat Miniatures are here. Okay. Up to 4 of them. Aha, this is an interesting figure. This is a War Games Foundry 20 mil. And these guys were in super, super, super high demand 20 years ago because they're out of production. And you could see they're like almost 22 millimeter in size. You put them next to an SHQ guy. They are significantly bigger, heftier. And this guy's an officer that's wearing some winter gear with a Nagant revolver. And since then, you could actually go on War Games Foundry and now order them. But this guy was in super, super, super high demand. Everybody wanted these figures to come back. I don't know how the hell I got them. I have a few of them, like 3 or 4. I honestly don't know how I got them. This guy's... God, it's almost like the lead's been damaged. Didn't that happen with lead for a while? It just starts getting corroded. You thought skirting was in case someone came up with a Panzerfaust type weapon. Tony, forgive me for not listening closely, but which scale are these? 20 mil. Which technically isn't a scale, but 20 mil. Yeah, and all of these Battlefield guys, they're no longer available. Most of these were from the Stalingrad range, which came out around 2002, 2003. And I bought like 1 pack of every of them. And they make like 15 packs of them or whatever. And I didn't keep them in packs. I was going to use them for something, so I put them on pennies. Yeah. Well, the nice thing is I don't have to put them on pennies anymore if I want to paint them. Done. What is this guy? This guy's another Battlefield guy. Oh, this is an early Battlefield guy or a Druze militia guy, same thing, with an Adrian helmet. They used some of those early in 1941. I wouldn't be opposed to using them. It's not like I would only use, I wouldn't use any early war Germans if I was doing 44. I would mix them up. It doesn't bother me any, Anyways, this guy goes in the FAA pile. Another FAA guy with a paper shah. And this guy is actually bandaged up. I don't know if you could make that out, but he's got bandages all around his back and his right arm. If this is a race, Battlefield's winning. They're way ahead. The thing is I haven't even made a dent on how many figures I have in here. I don't have to buy any of these. And the cool thing is they're not available anymore. All right, who we got in here? Ha ha! They can't have a Soviet army without a commissar. Everybody's favorite guy at parties. From Battlefield Miniatures. He's got a sidearm and a Pepe Shah. Never know how many people he's got to execute at once. Here's a Stalingrad guy with a cap. Apparently the Soviets that were kind of fans of not wearing helmets. Here's another guy with a DP machine gun. Also from Battlefield. Another guy that rides on a tank from Battlefield. Tank rider. An officer with a revolver from Battlefield. Interesting. Oh, this guy looks like a commissar. He may or may not be. Here's another one of them sorry SHQ guys that are uninspiring. They're just uninspiring. They're not terrible. They just, why paint him when I can paint somebody who's exciting? This guy is a, that's one hell of a piece of flash, or is it? I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. We'll just leave that hell alone. Might be part of the strap. It's a DP guy. It's laying prone. Those you put them on little pieces of basswood, balsa wood, not balsa wood, basswood. Balsa wood's too furry and transparent. So if I want to do 20 mil World War II skirmish gaming, I couldn't because no one makes them. Like being frustrated. Nobody makes these figures. There's other people that make them. I think the Soviets had a timeshare program for the helmets. Tried mounting on pennies for a while, then one of my son's friends, a coin collector, started lifting up all the figures to check the dates, made me nervous. Well, you just put magnets on the bottom of them, then they can't. And Litko makes magnets that fit on that are penny-sized. So you can magnetize them so you can travel with them safely. Here is a battlefield rifleman. Got a huge pouch there. Carries vodka bottles in there. Nice figure with the trench coat. Also battlefield. I didn't know I had any cavalry figures. Here's another cavalry figure. You can tell he's got the saber. This guy's got the semi-automatic rifle. He's an officer of some sort, has a shoulder wars. He's from the battlefield range of Drew's Militia range from, I think at that point they were just called Drew's Militia, 1945 range. This is a little FAA guy. Look at his neck, kind of a wonky little neck, waiting for it to break off or something. Very unique style of sculpting for those. Who's this guy made by? There's some kind of a gun crew. I think he's a battlefield guy. The style. That's who he's going to put him with. We have another guy. This is a battlefield guy, and here's a FAA guy. Yeah, if I'm going to paint figures, I'm not going to paint any FAA guys anytime soon. All right, well, it's Marco's favorite time. It's time for me to go to the potty. I'll be right back. Soviets had a need to program for guns and helmets. None of their soldiers needed to have either. Well, they had guns, not always helmets. AB makes 20s for late war. They didn't at the time. At the time, they only made gun crews and vehicle stuff. But now they've got some nice figures, nice infantry figures. Wonkish, my new favorite word. Did I say that? You can all have a potty. Or you can wear diapers. That depends. Not allowed to leave your seats. Oh, man. They aren't Huns. No. The Huns are drying, dude. And I feel like going to bed. You guys enjoying this? Or am I just, I guess, how many people are watching? Yeah. At least 10 people are enjoying it. Next. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, when I'm done with this, I'm going to bag these guys up separate, like all the battlefield guys together, that kind of stuff. As long as you don't have to clean it up. All right. This guy is, look at the muzzle brake on this thing. Wow. I'm pretty sure this is a combat miniatures guy. Yes, this is how you have to mount those guys, which they're not really practical because it's like you don't want to take this guy storming through a building because he's taking up a big footprint. You have to kind of, you know, so that's really pretty much for a scenario. He is a combat miniatures guy. Dave Alsop's guy. Speaking of him, here's another one. Another squad leader. Who's this? Another one of them dirty commissars? Yep, another one of those dirty commissars. Who's this? Okay, here's a shitty FAA guy, and I'll tell you what I don't like about him. Even though he's got a good bayonet. Look at his rifle. It's like 2 tubes. And don't get me wrong, this guy scopes a lot better than I would ever probably do, but it's like 2 tubes sitting next to each other. It's just not very inspirational. It's another some kind of officer or adjutant. Oh, this guy's cool. This guy's really cool. Look at this commissar looking dude. Nice figure by Battlefield. Here's another one of these cavalry figures I didn't know I had. Is he a cavalry figure? No, he's not. He doesn't have a saber. Yeah, he does have a Figure-atively though. As does this guy. And he's got the whole suit of padded. He's like wearing padded pajamas. I don't know that we're halfway done. Perfect. I mean, look at this pile of stuff that I have that isn't made anymore. And it's just one pack of everything. You know, it's not multiple packs of different stuff. This guy's an FAA guy. This guy, I believe, was part of a group that was shooting prisoners. You know, a fun communist pastime, shooting prisoners or something. Not that the Germans didn't do that either. Also by Battlefield. Here's even a light machine gunner guy that's cavalry. I'm gonna put these guys. I'm gonna post that on the Druze militia group. Cause I think somebody was just posting some cavalry or something like that. I didn't even know I had these guys. I got like 4 of them. Here is an officer of some sort, like for the back of a tank, riding. I don't know why I based him in black. I thought like, hey, maybe I'll paint this guy next. Nope. See, I didn't have a show where people could hold me accountable for the things that I didn't do, that I said I was going to do and then didn't do them. If you like a mini, you got to get it. Minis go out of production all the time. I didn't know that. I had no idea. I do now. I'm glad I got these guys. Okay. This guy's in trouble. He's a combat miniatures guy running. Rifleman. It's a nice figure, but You could tell that the lead is like old and been damaged. I don't know how old this guy is, but it almost looks like it's corroded a little bit. Ah, yes, another shitty SHQ guy. Just uninspiring. You know, I might need this guy. I might need a squad leader or something like that. And here's a guy that could be a squad leader. He's got a paper shot. Who's this? Another late war battlefield guy with a semi-automatic rifle. This guy that looks like the guy that's on the cover of the Cross of Iron. Remember the Cross of Iron game for squad leader? Here he is. Unfortunately, he has the same face as everybody else in the entire FAA army. So, there he is with the Tokarev. Probably still would paint okay. This guy's part of the Shoot the Prisoners group. I remember that because it was this guy went with him. And there's a guy tied to a pole somewhere. I'm sure I'll come across him. Here's a combat miniatures guy with a mustache. Officer. Now look, he actually has his rank, or he might be a enlisted officer, but he's got his rank there. It's got 2 chevrons on his sleeve. Nice that they have those ranks that all you got to do is paint them. You know, they're right there. This guy is a sniper from Battlefield Miniatures. I think he's from Battlefield. Actually, I don't know who the hell he's from. I'm going to put him with the Battlefield guys in his ghillie suit. Flames of War has discontinued pretty much all of their resin and metal models. What? So what do they have now? They're like plastic kits? Who starred in the Cross of Iron movie? Main guy? James Coburn. Maximilian Schell's in it. The guy that just died. Crap, what's his name? He literally just died a month ago. The English guy is in it. James Mason. But mainly it's James Coburn. He's the main guy. Yep. David Warner. David Warner's in it. He plays the disillusioned German captain in it. Maximilian Schell plays the captain he's a captain, but he's never gotten the Cross of Iron, which I'm thinking he's got to be pretty shitty to be a captain and not have a Cross of Iron. I mean, it's not like it's that high of a ranking thing, but here's a combat miniatures guy with a little bit of a repaired rifle there. I'm actually kind of glad I'm doing this. We need to not have these guys thrown around anymore. Here's a Battlefield guy. Looks like he had a bayonet that broke off. So we'll just have to finish taking the rest of that off. But he's got an Adrian helmet. He's really early war guys. Really early guys. Here's a sniper. I'm pretty sure this guy is a Battlefield guy. He almost looks like a Middle Eastern dude. Like some Middle Eastern freedom fighter. Who else is here? Another officer with a map case. Gun crew guy from FAA. Combat miniatures guy, rifleman, sneaking around. It's part of like a moving mortar crew or something like that from Battlefield. These figures are pretty big. Another guy part of the firing squad, reading the accusations why the enemy of the state has deemed you to be dealt with. I believe this is another firing squad guy. You can tell because he's got no equipment on there. He's kind of strange. He's got a bulky body, but kind of a small head. Hey, there's people out there like that. They're usually guys that have really high-pitched voices. I'm going to tell you something. This guy has seen better days. And I mean not necessarily the miniature itself, but the figure. Because his head is bandaged up. And he's got a Russian grenade that's with the stick on it, but it's pineapple type. I forget what it's called, but fragmentary grenade. And his head's bandaged up, and this whole arm is bandaged up too. If you have him in your squad, he already starts wounded. And another guy that sits on the vehicle and sunbathing. Yeah. Definitely have Battlefield's definitely winning the race. And this is just from buying one pack of every figure that they made of the line. So this tells you how much variety of figures that they had. That's why this is perfect for skirmish. Like, everybody has a personality. Here's another commissar or officer looking figure with a Pepe Shah. I'm actually going to have to move this popsicle stand over here. Like, some more operating space. Who we got here? We got a gun crew guy from FAA. I actually dislike the FAA guys even more than I thought I was. I'm not wasting my time probably painting those guys. I just don't see it happening. I could be wrong. I may need some guys with the submachine guns, but here's a Rifleman from Battlefield. Battlefield Rifleman. You know what? Let's move my happy ass over there. There we go. This guy is a Battlefield guy, I'm pretty sure, that has a mortar round, a big-ass mortar round. Getting ready to drop it. What I didn't like about Battleground World War II was D20. And I'd rather true percentile. At that point, I was playing true percentile stuff. So, D20 is just dumbed down percentile. That's what I didn't like about it. And it didn't do anything that it just seemed kind of hokey compared to Face of Battle. I thought Face of Battle was better. 20 mils. Yep. That's it, Rob. Just going through stuff I haven't looked at in 20 years. And these guys are awesome. These guys are awesome. Here's another guy that's bandaged up for cold weather. He's got actually like a scarf or something wrapped around his head. Another guy riding on a tank with no tank to ride on. You wasted your money in the 1980s by buying a house. I could have invested in 20mm World War II miniatures. Well, you'd have a pretty shitty house if that was the two choices. You need some 20mm NAM and modern. I have neither one of those two. Okay, Anthony, thanks for coming by. Another SHQ guy that's uninspiring. No, they all have the equipment in the same spot on every figure. Like, yeah. And they still make those, but they don't make these Battlefield ones. It's just a shame. Here's another FAA guy with a Pepe Shah. Another guy with a Pepe Shah. He's got the little fur hat on. Got even a strap on it. Nice casting. Nice casting. Another Battlefield guy. God, I didn't realize I had this many. Looks like he's part of a mortar crew or something like that. There's a box of ammo. Face of Battle's a cool game, though. Never got a chance to play it. Always wanted to. You know, the only problem with it is that if you played too big of a game, it would run slow. But you could look up rules. Everything made sense. That's what I was used to. And I play this DVA game, and I'm like, I'm reading it 3 times, and I can't understand it. Makes my brain hurt, you know? Another paper shot guy from FAA. Here's a sniper. Ooh, a lady sniper. Ooh. Oh, but she's a commie. Screw her. Lady sniper from Battlefield. Yeah. FAA figures. Some kind of a crew or whatever. Oh! Fellow lost his head. It's okay, it's an FAA figure. Guy riding on the tank from Battlefield. A paper shot guy from Battlefield. Again, look, he's got tattered pants. I guess these guys got attacked by wild dogs or something like that. Some of these Stalingrad guys are, you know, they definitely split their pants. Here's another combat miniatures guy. An FAA guy with a paper shot with binoculars out. And here's a Battlefield guy with one of them thermal pajamas on. What do we got left? Well, we're getting there. We're getting there, and I got stuff that's already it's in a bag. I wonder why the hell it's in a bag within here. This stuff is in bags. I can't tell why they're in there. These are not bagged. You can tell how much time I wasted putting these guys on spare change and then did nothing with them. Okay, that's all loose figures that aren't in these 2 bags. And I don't know why these are in bags. We'll come to that in a second. I have a feeling they're scouts or something. All right. This guy's got a teller mine. Limpet mine, whatever. One of those mines you stick underneath a German tank's turret and blows. Yet he's got an early Soviet helmet. I guess maybe they used those extra helmets all throughout the war. I don't know. An FAA guy with a paper shot, zippity doo-dah. FAA Rifleman. Actually, not too bad a figure. What's this? Paper shot guy laying down. This guy's a combat guy. This guy's a combat manager. That's Alsop's work. When are you going to paint these figures? 2051? Hey, at least I'm not buying anymore. I'm priming these Goom donkey pack teams when I'm done for the night. What the hell's a Goom? Like Tony always says, one of the best parts of miniature wargaming are the sound effects. Absolutely. Russian women are hot. They can be. Wookiee sounds. This guy's an FAA crewman. There's a guy that he used to be one of our customers many years ago. And rumor has it he got a mail order bride before it was a thing. And one of the things I remember him saying was, you got to make sure if you get one of those, to send you a picture of her smiling. Because otherwise, you know, no tifaces, you know. Goumiers, basically Moroccan mercenaries for the Free French. Oh, cool. Quite wild looking and behaving. Nice. Here's another firing squad guy. I guess there's like 4 guys in the firing squad and only 1 guy being tied to the post. Hello. Let's get these things out of the way. 1 guy being tied to the post, and he's in typical fashion. He's in a Soviet uniform. Killing their own kind. Who's this? This guy's another guy with minimal equipment. And a paper shot. He's got a paper shot. He's got 1 magazine in there. He's got another one in the little pouch. Those 71 rounds. He's got, what, 142 rounds, which sounds like a lot, but might not be. And he's got a grenade out, and that's it. He doesn't have a water bottle or anything. He's going to have to hit somebody over the head if he gets thirsty, you know. What's this guy? This guy's another cold weather guy. Look, he's got one of those little backpacks, a cinch sack on the back. Goumiers and wonkish. Use them in a sentence. Oh, you wonky goumier. You nappy-headed goumier. Oh, no. This guy's... the front barrel of his thing broke. Oh, is this it? I could probably make one, but I will hold on to it. I never know if I'm going to need it. That's what happens. It's not so much that they're in his bag, but they're probably in a bag with other lead things that they're being crushed on. This Goumier is hiding a wonkish somewhere in his jalaba robe. Jalaba sounds like a type of ice cream or something you order at a... I don't know. Here is a totally unassuming and boring SHQ figure. He doesn't even have any... Oh, hold on. He's got maybe a water bottle back there. That dork. Totally unprepared for the largest conflict in recent history. Another sniper. Kind of cool. Look at his headgear. It's almost like it's unwrapped. It's like inside out or something like that. Pretty cool. Russian rifle squads were pretty big. I think like mid-war, they're supposed to be like 12 man or something like that. 12, 13 man, something like that. Who knows if they ever got up to that strength. Box them, don't bag them. I don't have any boxes, though. Oh. This guy's an old battlefield guy. This guy almost looks like a French troop. He's got a French-style Adrian helmet. Did the French help communists? I don't know. Who's this guy? Oh, another guy that's on the firing squad, but he's got a semi-automatic. So we could make him a specialist trooper or a squad leader, assistant squad leader. This guy's a battlefield guy hauling mortar equipment, looks like. Either that or a tambourine. The Russians used tambourines and Russian musician. Oh, here's a guy that I kind of painted. These are really early, a real early battlefield guy. I'm not going to throw him back in there. That might be salvageable. FAA guy. This is the original 1945 DP machine gunner from Battlefield. You could tell their helmets aren't as done as well. They're kind of a minimalist type helmet as opposed to, look at the different helmet sizes here. Just pretty big. You've been dying inside. Well, that means you care. What do we got in here? This guy's carrying a anti-tank rifle. It's strange though, if you look at their helmet, from here, looks like a Soviet helmet. If you look at it head on, it almost looks like a German helmet. It totally looks like a German helmet from the front. It's almost like that brim is too pronounced. Oh well. I guess this is supposed to be some kind of a rifle grenade or something. Also from Battlefield. Look at it. Look at the freaking battle. It's definitely a Battlefield heavy area. All right, another bastard in the flag. Another commie bastard in their flag, yeah. Well, technically I have three, right? Two of them that actually have the flag molded on them and one that has the flag staff. Another cavalry trooper with the saber. Another semi-automatic rifleman from SHQ. Another early Battlefield guy with a French Adrian helmet. Well, this isn't the French Adrian helmet. The French Adrian helmet is, which there aren't that many guys that I have them, is this guy. It has like a little emblem here at the front of it. Radio operator. This guy's an assistant to like this guy from Combat Miniatures. Another officer from SHQ that's not very exciting looking. Who do we have here? We have a guy with a small rifle. And he's one of the saber guys. Another Battlefield rifleman. FAA guy. Guy that rides on a tank. Another guy that rides on a tank. Another guy that's given up. A guy that's been encircled from Battlefield. This is a figure, I don't know who the hell makes it. I want to say it's Platoon 20 or something like that. He's got a submachine gun and he's got a lunchbox or something. Maybe some kind of an officer or something. I don't know. Radio operator. FAA guy laying down. SHQ guy with a submachine gun. Another Combat Miniatures rifleman. Another early war Russian from Battlefield. Combat Miniatures guy with a rifle that broke. I don't know. Some of these figures, it looks like they're definitely corroding. I don't know that I have any figures that are corroded per se after I painted them. I'm not exactly sure how that happens, if the paint slows it down or something. Wasn't pukish green the color of World War II Army soldiers? Something like that. It's a little bit more brown than that. Here's another commissar with a bullhorn. I don't care if you don't have a rifle. You move forward. From Battlefield. This guy's broke off, but he's FAA, so who cares? Here's another guy with a paper shot here with from SHQ. A sniper from FAA. Some kind of a crewman from Battlefield. Another SHQ guy with the paper shot. Another SHQ guy with the paper shot. Ah, yes, this guy laying down, like sitting squat. So he's the guy that would sit on here. He sits like this. And then you got a helper. I forget which side it feeds from. I forget if it feeds this way or the other way. I think it feeds this way, honestly. I think it feeds from the right. Little box magazine. Oh, here's a multi-part machine gun. I thought I had a 12.7. I guess I don't. Here's a loose anti-tank gun. And the little flimsy shield that goes with it. That's from Battlefield. These are probably the ones from, maybe they're from FA. I don't remember who it is. We'll put that stuff together. So that's it, other than the stuff that's bagged. So this is all Battlefield stuff right here. So the vast majority of it is, on pennies. It's like freaking $2 out here in pennies. Is there a figure for Stalin? No, I don't have one. Okay, thanks for coming by. So what's in these two bags? This one's interesting. These are figures that were very hard to get a hold of, and now they're actually in production again. If it's who I think it is. Yep. These are the War Games Foundry 20 mil Russians. Now, as cool as War Games Foundry stuff is, some of this stuff isn't great. They're kind of big. Maybe they're not that big, but definitely usable. They have some machine gunners. They got an officer here with a pistol. Another one of the same pose. I think I must have bought these on eBay off of somebody. A couple guys with Pepe Shahs, machine gunners. Guy laying down with a DP. A prone guy. Guy in like a winter gear with a Pepe Shah. Another DP laying down. Yeah, these guys are all... yeah, see, this is how you do the machine gun. You make it all one piece. There's no reason to make people build all that shit for yucks. There's two machine guns and then crew members here with it. I guess they each come with sitting here and the helper. Well, you can tell they have some corrosion on them. Actually, this one's kind of miscast. Look at his face. All right, so we'll put these guys back in the box, in the bag. These are all the War Games Foundry. And I'm going to go ahead and take this one War Games Foundry guy and throw him back in there with it. So these guys are all hanging out together. The other box has, that's what I thought, scouts. These are all should be FAA guys that are scouts. By scouts, I mean those guys that have the camo smocks. Oh, there's okay, these are all scouts, but they're not necessarily all FAA guys. This guy, for instance, he is definitely a battlefield guy. And so's him. This guy even has a flamethrower. Never hear about those Soviets with flamethrowers. Here's a scout with a DP machine gun. We're not going to twist that back up until we're ready to use them. And a tank rifle. Beautiful figures. Beautiful figures from Battlefield. No dancer with musician. No, it's not that kind of army. Here's a FAA guy in a smock. This guy's got demo charges and all kinds of shit. Whoop. Nope, I don't know where you ended up. We'll see. You'll find out in a second. Don't run over him. Here's a sniper in a smock from FAA. Here's a submachine gunner in a smock. I guess I have a fair amount of these scouts. Here's a guy with an early helmet from Battlefield with the smocks on there. Submachine gunner with a smock. Oh, here's a unique weapon. I know I didn't imagine dropping them, but I also didn't hear it. Oh, he'll turn up. This weapon, this guy has, this is an early Druze militia guy from their Berlin range, 1945, and he's got, I think, like a Bangalore torpedo or some shit like that. Some kind of shaped charge. But look on his back. He's got he's got one of those PPS 43s with the banana clip. I think that's probably the only figure I have that has that weapon. Which I believe was a 35 round magazine. I'm sorry, I'd rather have a 71 round magazine. And then we've got another Battlefield Scout here. Another one here with the Adrian helmet. Not the Adrian helmet, the early helmet. FAA. Radio operator. All these guys are wearing smocks. So they're all like recon guys. Here's another guy with a paper Shah. A guy with an MP40. You always see German. I got quite a few German guys that have paper Shahs on there. This guy's got an MP40. This guy's got a smock and a hand grenade. Another paper Shah guy from FAA. Here's another one. Here's another one. I probably have 2 squads of scouts. This guy's like an officer or a commissar. He's got a smock on. He's got an MP40 on him. And he also has body armor on him. Just on his chest. A guy laying on a tank in a smock. And then last but not least, some kind of a radio operator there in a smock as well from Battlefield. So we'll put all these guys. This is the scout group. So yeah, got a lot of figures. And this is just the Soviets. So I'm pretty sure I got more Germans than the Soviets. And the reason, because Germans, may not. The only reason, because everybody makes freaking Germans. And none of these figures you saw, except for some of the War Games Foundry guys, are repeat figures. They're all individual figures. And none of them are the same pose repeated. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. So, pennies worth solo now. This is a good use of them. I remember my dad, when he used to see me use this, said, "Man, you're wasting so much money basing them on pennies." And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, I can't think of any stand you would buy that would cost you less than like a nickel or a dime. So, you built the Soviet army for bolt action. It was hellish. Give me metal figures any day. Yeah, I don't want to paint plastic figures. Screw that. Well, you know what? The good news is these stands are dry. The bad news is I'm out of time. It's after 10:30. So, how long have we been on here? 3 hours? Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. At least it's something different. Yeah, I told you I don't need to buy any more 20s. Especially every single one of these guys is a different figure. So we're gonna go grab some plastic bags, bag these guys up, and split them up. I thought I actually had more combat miniatures than but they only make like, I think like 2 packs for the Soviets. The combat miniatures did. They had a lot of Brits, and I got quite a few Brits from combat miniatures, and Germans, those 2. But anyhow, thanks for coming by, folks. We're going to call this one a wrap. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. It's something a little different. And Germany, a warrior nation that hasn't war since 1971. 1871. Yep. But, yeah. So until next time,